So it is nearly 10 o'clock. It's February 18th, 2021, and I had just come from my shower. I'm a little upset because I shouldn't say I just came from a shower because I was already able to manage, I was able to record an 18-minute video similar to this one, but somehow towards the end of that video, my face just froze. And when I reviewed the video that was supposed to go up on this vlog, it's black, and I couldn't get it to cross over to iMovie so that I could just like fill them out with like some photos or something or clips, whatnot. But it is what it is. So I'm here recording. Anyway, so the reason why I'm a little antsy to come out of the shower tonight was because I wanted to talk about a text that I received from my manager saying, he was thanking me for quote unquote what I did to that patient today. He was pretty much thanking me for something that he felt that I did for a patient today at work. So, background story, I was working at a different building in our hospital's campus today. My other coworker was working in another building, and so technically both of us were not in the main hospital, but we were pretty much close and adjacent to the main hospital. So I received a call from my coworker asking me to come over to help with IV because I don't want to brag, but I'm pretty good with IVs. So I came over. She had already, poked the patient 3 times. But yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't get an IV on her. I poked her 2 times. She was kind of like, unsure if she should go ahead and be poked again. But finally, we gave up after this like the fifth try, like 3 for my coworker and 2 for me. So we decided to bring her over to our main hospital to get an ultrasound guided IV. For those of you who don't know, that is an intravenous access that's put in using an ultrasound machine. They pretty much like put a probe on your arm. They're able to see through a monitor, and then they insert the IV in. There are nurses who work specifically for that type of task. But before that, because she had 2 different procedures and she needed it for something, one of the procedures, the people who work for that procedure, they had actually like made sure that once she gets her IV inserted in the main hospital, she gets her appointment there, but not for the other procedures. So anyway, bottom line is I brought the patient to the main hospital, push her in the wheelchair, and actually like took her over to where she was gonna get her ultrasound guided IV, just to be sure that she gets everything done. And so I brought her myself, pushing that wheelchair to the main building. After which, I spoke with my manager, asking him to make sure that this patient gets to have the other procedure done at the main hospital because I feel bad. I felt bad that I didn't want to turn them away, um, because I think it was important. It was important for her to get that test done. She had 2 different tests that were both like um, like she had another visit in the hospital today that was contingent upon the results of those procedures that she was gonna get done today as well. So bottom line is I spent probably like 2 3 hours in this issue. Thankfully, I worked at my assignment today was kind of lighter, and the other nurse was able to hold the fort down while I was away, and for me to step out and help my other coworker in the other building. And the thing is, like I said, it took me about, like, in total, like dealing with this issue, about nearly 4 hours. And so I guess that's where the thank you from my manager came, because he felt that I did a little, like, going above and beyond for the patient. But I don't know. I mean, it's okay. I mean, I wouldn't have minded like not getting a thank you. I mean, it's part of the job. But my point here is, if only, and this has nothing to do with my manager, and this is more like my thought on why I am able to do what I did today, is because of where I am working right now. Don't get me wrong, I love New York. I love the place that I work back home. I lived in Jersey, but I work in Manhattan for 10 years. I work in an emergency department for 9 out of those 10 years. And I love the people I work with. And I wouldn't say that this is just like, exclusive to that department that I work with, in emergency department, but I would say this is more like, I think this is like a scenario in a lot of the hospitals outside the country. So when my manager thanked me today for quote unquote doing what I did for the patient, it's not because I am great, it's not because I am special or anything like that. It's because I actually have time to do things for patients. Like, I actually have, I'm actually happy. I'm actually happy at my job. I mean, of course, there are issues, right? Like, there are always like little issues, irritants or something. But I'm happy with where I am and what, the leadership at where I work, what they're doing to make sure that nurses and I can't speak for the other staff, but I'm pretty sure it's the same. Um, that we are well taken care of so that we have lesser turnover and a better quality of life at work. And that adds up to like things that you can do for patients. I'm saying this because a lot of places in the States, and I can't speak for other countries, and I don't have statistics. Again, do not torture me with statistics because I'm not a statistics person. And I'm saying this just as like I see a lot of like videos and stories and things from, other people's experiences working as a nurse in other parts of the country. But we know for a fact that a lot of nurses, like, just think about like just imagine where I came from. I work in an emergency department in New York City. I love the people, like I said, I love the people I work with. I will never regret my experience working in a hospital because I feel like that molded me into the kind of resilient, like, badass nurse that I am right now. But we took care of limitless amount of patients. Like, we didn't have nurse patient ratio. I thought I was well paid back there, but up until I came here and I realized, like, whoa, like, nurses really have the potential to earn more than they do. And that was New York City, right? I mean, think about other places like, say, Texas and wherever else, or I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know how much Texas nurses are getting paid, but other areas, other states in the country, I don't know how much nurses are getting paid. But one thing's for certain is that we have nurse patient ratio in California. And especially in this part of California, we are paid pretty well, pretty decent. That I think, and don't quote me, that I think we are the highest paid nurses in the world. And I won't be surprised if that is true. So, and I know these are just like money is a material thing, right? But it amounts to a lot when it comes to like job satisfaction. Nurse patient ratio, yeah, of course, like, how can you do a lot more as a nurse if you have like 17 patients? I work in a hospital or an emergency department in New York. I remember having as much as 17 patients on my board just for myself. That's why when California nurses like complain about how busy it is. Like, girl, you don't know what busy is. Go to my ED and you'll know what busy is. Go to other states and you'll know what busy is. So that's just putting it in context. And I'm not saying like, yeah, anyway. So bottom line is, if only nurses are well paid, if no, only nurses are taken care for by their management or their leadership in the hospital where they work, you can actually do more as a nurse and not just like trying to juggle one task after the other, not just, making sure nobody dies under your watch, which I pretty much, did when I was working in an ED, right? Because if you don't have, a nurse patient ratio, you wanted to make sure that nobody dies out of your 17 patients. So that's pretty much my point. If Bess, don't try to bark. If nurses are just, you know, like if nurses are just like well paid and well supported in terms of staffing and they're not burned out, we can actually do more. And this is how I managed to do what I did today. Because I had time, I had a coworker who was, I guess like happy and satisfied and just, happy with her job, and she's not overburdened, and she actually has, the capacity to hold the fort while I was gone to take care of this issue today. If I didn't have that, if I was like overburdened and burdened with so many patients and overworked and tired and grumpy, I wouldn't have done what I did today. So it's not because like I am trying to be special or I am special or anything. Nurses can actually do more if they're taken care of. And if they're not, like I said, overworked, underpaid, and whatnot. Nurses have so much potential in what they or we can do. And we can actually do more if we are happy with what we do. And yeah, management will probably see more of this if nurses are just, at that state where they are, like I said, I think I'm getting redundant, but at the state where they're like satisfied, more than satisfied with what they do at their jobs. Yeah. Um yeah, and I wish like, it's unfortunate, right? It's unfortunate that not everyone can have the same, experience as nurses in this part of the state or in this state or wherever it is. Like I don't want to sound so exclusive, like this experience is exclusive to California, because it isn't. I'm pretty sure there are other hospitals in other states where nurses are satisfied with how much they're getting paid, and or how much like what their nurse patient ratio is. I'm pretty sure it's not just exclusive to California. But what I'm saying is, bottom line is, if you're someone from management who can actually see the plight of nurses, how, like what they need, what we need, you'll most likely to see more, things being done by nurses above and beyond. Not because like, again, not because we want to be special or recognized or anything, but because we can. Because this is what we came to do. This is what we want to be, nurses. Because we have that inherent in, in us, to hold hands, to hold the patient's hand, to bring a patient to her next appointment, to advocate for a patient. If we are not just juggling from one task to the other, if we're not coming to work just because like we don't want to be fired, or because like we were mandated to stay or to X, Y, and Z. We can do more. And yeah, that is what I wanted to say today. Thank you for listening and watching. Good night.